Hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 199 of the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, and get into all kinds of other crafting shenanigans. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. It is Saturday, February 17th, 2024, and it's a cool day out. We had some snow overnight, about 2.5 inches. A lot of it is melted already, but we've had several snowfalls in the last several days and little while. So it's kind of fun. Hubby's mumbling, but he hates snow. Anywho, so it's been a fun week. It's been busy. We are in this, my favorite time of the year, Valentine's Day till my birthday. So we had Valentine's Day on Wednesday, and my birthday is tomorrow. So I have that nice little window of time, so I usually get a little bit of something for Valentine's Day, and then I milk that all the way through until my birthday 4 days later. So I make the most of that little window of time every year. So I'm excited for my birthday tomorrow. And just as a spoiler alert, as you saw in the thumbnail, I got myself some birthday yarn. I treated myself to, well, three 50-gram skeins of yarn. One of them has not arrived yet. It'll be here on Tuesday. But the first two have arrived. But I'll talk more about that at the end. So, I've had a productive week. I finished I almost dropped that on myself. I finished the qualifying round pair of socks for Sock Madness 18. So they're mirrored. So if I put them side by side like that, facing the same way, you don't see the pattern along here. But these are called In the Twilight, and it's a pattern by Kate Poe. And they were the warm-up pattern, so these were not required knitting for Sock Madness 18. I love the look of the pattern. I liked the idea that I could make the legs a little bit shorter. So I thought, and I like the look of the pattern. My light's changing because some clouds have moved across the sun. Sorry. Anywho, so I like the look of them. I like cables. So I thought, I had time. I thought, why not? Let's get them done. So we'll just show you the one side. So there's a pretty little cable design going down the front. And it's either on the right-hand side or the left-hand side of the foot. There's a little cable pattern running all down the side on both sides. And there's also a fun cable pattern different from the front, another cable pattern going down the back, and they're really pretty. They're a pretty pair of socks. The yarn I used was yarn I dyed myself. It was one that used to be in that little pile of yarn back there, but it was the yarn I dyed myself a while back in blues and purples, kind of a tonal variegated, whatever you want to call it, tonal variegated style. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but they're done. And I got them done in time before the registration period ended and before the qualifying round started up. So I think maybe I'll talk about that next, and then I'll talk about a couple other things from in between. So the qualifying round for Sock Madness, the specs came out on Wednesday afternoon. I think it's a little after lunch, during lunchtime on Wednesday. So they release a list of all of the materials that we need for all of the possible rounds within Sock Madness. They're numbered A through whatever. We don't know which one is for which round. We do know which ones are bonus patterns. We know which ones are regular patterns. Beyond that, we don't know. So if sock A, we have no idea whether that's whatever. That could be round 1, it could be round 2, could be round 7. We don't know. Just for an example, E is the qualifying round this year. So they released that information to tell us that we needed 3 contrasting colors. I apologize, my hands are a little off color today. I've been dyeing yarn. So I dyed a couple skeins the other day and I dyed another couple today. The last ones I dyed were brown. And so my hands have kind of a, they don't look very clean. But anyway, you'll see that yarn some other time later. So anyway, the specs came out on Wednesday lunchtime, and once the specs come out, we have assurance that the pattern will drop within 48 hours. We don't know exactly when the pattern will come out, and it can be anywhere from 1 minute later to 39 hours and 59 minutes later. So anywhere within 48 hours. Did I say that number right, the last one? Anyway, you got anywhere between when the specs are released until a full 48 hours has passed and the pattern will come out. Just drinking tea this afternoon. So the pattern came out on Friday at 6 something in the morning. I didn't get up till 7 o'clock in the morning on Friday, so I found the pattern then. So the pattern is called Hydra Scales, and it is a pattern by Wyvern Knits, Wyvern Knits. I'll have the information down in the description box below. And the light keeps changing. I'm sorry about that. So anyways, this pattern called for 3 colors. 2 of the skeins, I think it said you needed between 50 and 75 grams each, plus a 3rd color, we needed something like 10 grams. And they all needed to have good contrast. So I have a start, and it's a bit of a, I normally like doing my socks 2 at a time. I'm not wrestling with that many pieces of yarn. So here's what it looks like so far. I have the cuff is done, and I think I'm 11 or 12 out of 16 rounds on the first repeat on the leg. So it's a really neat looking design, and the other side is the same. The pink isn't showing up quite as much. The white and the blue look, the blue is the one where you only need 10 grams. The white is the main color, and I think that was when you needed upwards of 70 or 75 grams. The pink is the first, oh nuts. Hang on, I gotta pause you. Sorry about that. I forgot to mute things over on the computer. Hubby's on the way home from work, so he's just gonna come home and fiddle around in the other room. Now, where was I? I've completely lost my train of thought. Anyway, I think what I might have been saying was that for the bare yarn, the white on my case, we needed 70 to 75 grams. The pink, we needed 50 plus grams. And the blue, that I'm using here, we needed, that's for the 10 grams. So the yarn I'm using for this is, the white is the bear yarn. The blue is, it looks black in here, but it's a dark, dark blue. If I'm not mistaken, it is Knit Pick Stroll. And the color might be something like Sapphire Heather. It's one of the heathered yarns, and it's a dark, dark blue. The pink is a yarn that I dyed yesterday for myself. Yesterday or day before. A yarn I dyed myself. I think I dyed it on Thursday. And I like that color. I must say I'm happy with that. Look at that. It's such a bright purpley pink. I'm really happy with that one. It's really a pretty color. I think a really pretty color. So what else did I want to tell you about that? So the pattern came out Friday morning at, I think it was 6:20 in the morning. And with that, we have a full 2 weeks to finish the pattern. So if you were officially registered for Sock Madness, you got an email on Friday morning with the pattern, with the pattern and with the specific instructions for what we had to do. So the instructions listed that we had to knit the cuff as written. Then we had to knit 3 repeats of the leg portion. So that's rounds 1 through 16. So we had to do 1 through 16 3 times. And then beyond that, I'm not sure, because I'm not that far, so I'm not going to worry about it. It is kind of like wrestling a bit of an octopus, because you have the 2 main colors, or the main and the first. See, and I'm getting tangled up just looking at it. Anyway, so it is, there we go. There's the 2 main colors that are coming from the 2 cakes, and then we have 4 separate strands that are used for the two lines in the blue section, the middle little Hydra thing, scale, whatever you want to call them. And as I mentioned earlier, I like doing my socks 2 at a time, or at least when they're I like doing them 2 at a time in tandem. So typically what I would like to do is I'd like to do the cuff on one, then do the cuff on the second one. Do the leg on one, then do the second leg, and go back and forth. The thought of wrestling 2 strands from let me try this again slower and hopefully in English. The idea of trying to wrestle 4 strands for the intarsia type stitching down the center design, so 4 on one sock plus 4 on the second sock, and having yarn coming from the outside of 2 cakes of yarn for one sock and the inside of the same 2 cakes of yarn for the second pair of socks. Nope. I'm getting tangled. I put this down to answer the phone and came back and my yarn had got tangled up. I cannot do these 2 at a time. And I don't want to split the cake of yarn, the pink, in 2. I can easily get 2 separate cakes of the bear yarn because I have lots of that. But I don't want to try to split the cake into the pink cake into two balls of yarn. I don't want to do that. And B, I'd still get tangled. So I'm going to do these a tiny bit differently. I'm going to complete the first sock 100% and then do the second sock from beginning to end. I don't often do them that way, but it is what it is. So there they are so far. So, and I just put the marker here so I would know how much I did, since when I see you next week, I'll know where I left off. So we have a full 2 weeks to finish that pattern and to finish that pair of socks and submit our completed entry to the moderators before 6:20 a.m. 2 Fridays from now, or 2 weeks from this past Friday. So that's those. They're getting a little bit faster to do because I'm starting to get the hang of how the pattern is working, and I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with manipulating the stitches and understanding and knowing what I'm supposed to do and kind of memorizing what the different stitch crossings are. So it will start to pick up a little bit of speed, but it is going to still be a little bit of a slower knit. But I am enjoying it. It is a lot of fun. And they're going to look really cool when they're done. So the 3 little coils or scales are going to go down the back of the sock. The blue one kind of goes, the last one goes a little bit into the top of the heel turn, or the heel flap, and then it goes all the way down the front. The same thing, the three lines go all the way down the front. So once you get through the heel, it should also start to get a bit faster because you only have the cable crossings going down half of the sock, down the front of the sock, and not down the bottom of the foot. So it should start to pick up a little bit of speed. But we shall see. Come back in a week and see how much I get done on these. So what else have I done this week? Well, I finished my qualifying round pair of socks, and I didn't want to get started on too much else, which didn't quite stop me either. So I restarted. Remember before I had started doing my little Coziest Memory by Kemper Ray that I was going to turn into, eventually it's going to grow up to be a cardigan. So I had done this first square. It was really wonky, and I kind of thought, well, maybe I did the cast on a little too tight. So I thought, well, I'm going to start over. So I took another, and that was done with one of the skeins of yarn from my Row 1 mini subscription from December 23. So then I did a second one, and it's still a wonky shape and not quite as wonky as the first one. There's a little bit more give on the cast on edge. So I'm more confident that this one will look square once I've added more squares to it. So I'm starting over. And I haven't done a second square yet. This one is going to be a slow moving project, and that's fine. But it'll be one, once I get into the rhythm of making the squares and joining them, it'll start going faster. So that was my second tiny little bit of work in progress that I have this week. And the third thing I did was, because I knew I needed something that was completely mindless knitting, and I wasn't quite in the mood for working on the Coziest Memory cardigan idea, I cast on another pair of socks. So I got a little bit done on them, and I'm back to my comfort zone. 2 at a time, toe up, sort of shorty socks. I do love my 2 at a time, toe up, sort of shorty socks. So these ones I am going to be using up. Sorry, this might have a lot of glare on it, but I am using the little leftover balls of yarn that I have from my Chickadee Fiber Arts advent calendar that I had this past year, and that I used the main part of each of the yarns, each of the little 20-gram skeins. I used those to make the squares on my Ariana cardigan. And I ended up with about 2 grams, roughly 2 to 3 grams each of all 24 of the skeins. So what I did was I made one pair of toe-up, 2 at a time toe-up sort of shorty socks, where I used the yarn from the leftovers from days 1 through 12. Now I'm doing days 13, which I've just started. I'll go 13 through 24. And I'm going to make a second pair of 2 at a time toe-up sort of shorty socks. So these are the ones that I'm going to have on the go. This is my comfort knitting. I absolutely love working on my, I love working on these. I really, really do. They are just my meditative Zen knitting. I love knitting on them. I love the process of knitting on them, and I love the socks that come out of them. And I love wearing what is produced from that. So that is my new cast on this week. So I'm sitting at 4 whips. Oh well, what are we gonna do? But both the Jelly Roll cardigan and the mitered square cardigan, those are both going to be long-term scrappy projects. I probably could have worked on the Jelly Roll instead of casting on another pair of socks, but I was missing my plain vanilla socks after doing the heavily cabled ones for the warm-ups for Sock Madness, and knowing that the other Sock Madness socks were also going to be on the intensive side. I needed plain vanilla. I just needed plain vanilla. So that is my knitting for the week. I have one finished object. I'm getting a good start on my Sock Madness 18 qualifying round pair. So I say I have a little less than 2 weeks to finish them. I have no concerns or fears that I will not finish them on time, unless something super drastic happens between now and over the next 2 weeks, which I can't foresee. I guess you don't usually foresee drastic things happening. Anyway, so I do think I should have no trouble finishing them during the time period. I just have to make sure I scratch out enough time each day to work on them and get a good chunk done on them every day. So I'm hoping to have them done by next week when I see you, but we shall see. They have to be done by the following week. No questions about it. They absolutely 100% have to be done before I see you in 2 weeks. So otherwise, what else is new? As I mentioned at the beginning, tomorrow is my birthday, Sunday the 18th, and I decided to treat myself to a little bit of yarn. I need more yarn, like I need a hole in the head. As I'm in the kitchen dyeing yarn, I'm just using food. This is just done doing food coloring, so it's nothing fancy. But I decided, I hopped on Etsy and decided to look around and get myself a couple or 3. I went looking for 50-gram skeins of yarn. So you know me and my sort of shorty socks, where contrasting toes, heels, and the little pop of color and a 50-gram skein of yarn are perfect for a pair of socks. I found 2 skeins from one dyer, and this is Little Bay Blue. Hope that's focusing for you. And so I got two of her skeins. So the first one, isn't that gorgeous? This is Groove and Gecko. It's fingering weight 4 ply, 50 grams, 230 yards. It's a 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon. That's a cute name, Groove and Gecko. So here's all the information on the label. You can see how kind of yellowy my fingers look. Oh, yeesh. Anyways, such a pretty color. These greens and blues are gorgeous. And the second one, and these arrived Thursday or Friday? Thursday. And here's the second skein. It's another gorgeous one. This one is red, freckle, and blue. So the same details about it. Fingering 4 ply, 50 gram, 230 yards, 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon. Come on, let's focus again. Everything's all fuzzy. Mess with the focus on this poor camera when I do that. So these two will make a couple gorgeous pair of socks. And they will both, I'm 99% sure they will both become 2-at-a-time toe-up sort of shorty socks. They're such pretty colors. And I am happy that I'm able to get the 50 gram skeins because they're just perfect for the socks that I love. I love to wear, the socks I love to wear and that I love to make. They're just perfect. I also bought myself a third skein of yarn. This is from Nomadic Yarns. And that one is a self-striping yarn. I don't recall the name of it. I will show you that next week. I was hoping, I ordered them both the same from both of the dyers. I ordered them both the same day. One of them, this one shipped quicker and got here quicker. So yeah. So I thought I'm just gonna treat myself to a little bit of birthday yarn. Why not? But that was it. I just got 3 little skeins and I'm excited to get working on all of them. I am going to one day have to sit down and line up all of my 50 gram skeins of yarn because I'm building up quite a few of them now. Oops. Sorry, not sorry. No. I do need to go through them all and line them all up and get going on working on them all. Plus I have my Advent yarn, my Opal yarns that I still need to continue working on and a bunch of 50 grams that, yeah, I need to organize my yarn. But that's all, it's all good. So plans for the rest of this week is going to be busy coming up. We have, well, tomorrow is Sunday, so we're off to church. I told the hubby and a couple friends of ours that we always go out for lunch with after church. I told them I want to go out to, there's a Chinese restaurant little ways down the road from us that do a yummy buffet. So I told them I want to go for Chinese buffet after church for my birthday lunch. And then I'm good. I'll have a big lunch and then I don't need supper. I'll still be full for supper time. On Monday I've got work. Tuesday I have a doctor's appointment just for like a regular annual checkup. I went on Thursday I went and got the blood work done, and so that my doctor likes to order the blood work in advance. So you go in the week before your appointment, get the blood work done, then he has the results right there in front of him when I go in to see him. So that way I don't have to make a second appointment to go and talk to him if there's any concerns about anything with the blood work. So I have that appointment on Tuesday morning. Then I have an appointment with the boss for annual review stuff. Oh, there's an ambulance coming. No, it's a police car. This actually did sound a little too quiet for an ambulance. Anyway, so Tuesday afternoon I have an appointment for just sit down with the boss at work for annual review stuff. Wednesday is work. Thursday I think is a quiet day. Friday, both the hubby and I have appointments to go get our eyeballs tested. We went last year beginning of February, so we're just due for a regular eye exam. I don't think either one of us have any issues that we're concerned with. I don't think there's any problems. My vision seems to be fine, other than I need reading glasses to see things up close. The eyeballs don't focus quite as well on close things anymore, and each year as the birthday comes along it gets a little harder to read things up close. That's fine. And the next Saturday I'll be ready to film again. So I'm hoping that I'm gonna have a little bit more limited time on Tuesday to get knitting done, being running around with appointments and such, but I'll keep plugging along with the Hydra. I want to keep calling them Hydra coils, Hydra scales. I'll keep working with those, and I hope to have them finished for next week, but I'm not holding my breath. It'll probably be till the following week before I actually get them done. So I seem to be rambling now. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to get the editing done on this. So first I'm going to go and throw, we have a small pork loin roast that we're going to have for supper tonight. I'm going to go get that thrown in the roaster pan and into the oven. And then once that's cooking, I'll get the editing done on this. Then I'll get some carrots chopped up to put into the roasting pan. We ran out of potatoes, so we're just going to have the roast with carrots and find some other veggie to go with them. So that's supper tonight. And any leftovers will be for lunch on Monday at work. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm going to throw a couple extra carrots in there so there is leftover. And I think that's it. I am rambling. So I'll shut up. I'll let you go. And I will see you next week, and I'll be another year older and maybe wiser. Probably not wiser, as I order more yarn and dye more yarn, so I've got more to knit with. Yeah, wiser's not gonna happen. It's too late for that. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit loopy now. Anyway, so I will let you go, and I will see you again next week. Alrighty, bye everyone.